I'm a little bit late to the trend, but you know what? Ever since they released the preview pictures of the Elite 64 model, I think it's the best time to basically bash this fucking thing to pieces. Ah yes, the Toyota Chaser, one of the more obscure cars in the JDM community, makes an appearance in the Hot Wheels Elite 64, an attempted return to the well-known detail casting that Hot Wheels used to make back in the 2000s and maybe the early 2010s. Presumably until 2014, before they stopped it altogether. The only difference is that Hot Wheels used to make 143 and 118 scales. Hell, they even made Formula 1 cars back in the golden days of Hot Wheels, before Spark and Mini Champs just dominated the market. Although Hot Wheels has returned to making high quality, small scaled models, I still refuse to buy this into the soulless hype that is the Elite 64 line. Starting off with the Toyota Chaser, the first takeaway is the fact that we have other brands that have made better, well-detailed 64 scaled castings than what the Hot Wheels Elite 64 offers. Hot Wheels need to get their shit together on what demographics they want to sell based. On one hand, the modern mainline basically looks childish as fuck with bright-ass colors and shitty color palettes with lazy decals placed into it. On the other, the premiums at our LCs are for the grown-up ones that is overhyped as fuck to the point where they sell it for eBay prices in the market, which obviously, maybe they have their segment as well. But there has to be a balance of both worlds. If they design their cars, if they design their cars in the mainline and packaging for demographically for the young adults and for all ages alike, that shouldn't be a problem. But you see, compared to Elite 64, the offers for higher grade models are Sparky, well, just the subsegment of Spark, in which they make 164 scale models of their cars. Mini GT, Tarmac, Works, Inno 64, or even Ignition models. Even though they're a little bit pricey, I'll tell you, they're worth it. From what I've seen in the pictures. So, when I bought my first Mini GT model, the amount of detail compared to the Toyota Chaser that has been released is way more intricate, meticulously crafted, and yet it's just so much more. And they're basically just miles better. And even though they have rubber, for instance, the Mini GT, for their cars, it still shows how much heart and soul they put into the car itself. Which, props to them. It's not bad. The price point also is another turnoff for me to buy that piece of shit. I got my Mini GT for $10, and for its details, the car is worth the price. Now compare that to the $20 Toyota Chaser. Fuck no. Even though I got a better Toyota, the TS050 LMP1 car, for 22 euros, but you know what? The rough details that they put in is also worth the price as well, compared to, As much as they put the details, they have their problems. Even though I'm not saying that Mini GT and Sparky are flawless, they did it much more meticulously compared to that of the Elite 64. I'll tell you that. Now, I have a Sparky Toyota LMP1 Mini GT seen on the F to showcase for this video as in a close-up so that you would see why I prefer these models compared to that. And that's why I'm skipping on buying that shit box and continuing to buy other brands like these companies. Now compare that details to the half-ass model that is the Chaser X. We'll have to take a closer look at the picture of the model itself. Now, the model itself is the second takeaway. And man, where do I begin? First off, the wheels just don't really match the color scheme at all. I mean, putting blue wheels, it's an okay idea, I guess. It's alright, but don't get me wrong though. It's just the fact that the wheels lack detail is just an absolute turnoff for me. A better alternative would have been putting brass, silver, white, or even black rims for that. That way, it'll have a better contrast to the body of the car as well. Also, at least paint the bolt of the wheels like how the Corvette C8 did. Another example is the headlight, or even the taillight as well. Basically, the lights of the car. Looking at the front and the rear taillight makes me want to puke. They didn't hide the fact that they drilled a hole in the casting to basically put the obvious assembly of the model itself. Basically, you could compare that to Atomica Mainline where they just did the same thing as well. The only solution that I could give to them is just they should have put the opaque headlight so that the assembly wouldn't be that obvious. But apparently they did. I don't fucking know why. This is basically embarrassing to say the least, considering they're supposedly called a higher grade model. They're called Elite 64. But comparing to Mini GT or any of the similar companies related to that, it's a fucking joke. It's a sin as well, because, like, even though the hype tries to cover up its flaws, I don't think it justifies the joke of a model that's basically presented for like what, $20. Even though the interior is not as detailed, people wouldn't be really complaining about the interior model, but still, the interior also is basically that of a Hot Wheels model as well. Like maybe premium grade, but not elite grade. The only thing I'll give it a pass is the camber of the car, which is actually really good, and the exhaust is a separate piece as well, which is, yeah, that's good, but that doesn't justify most of the flaws that is covered in the video. So, to answer the question, can they compete with higher grade 64 scale model companies? Fuck no. They're still miles off compared to all of them. They need to learn from these mistakes in order to basically climb to the ranks so that they can at least be on par with them. As of now, they're languishing in the back. Maybe I don't really hope for anything positive or whatever. I'll just hope for the unexpected that will happen. So, the only problem that's going to be affecting this thing is just basically consumers brainlessly getting them for $20, in which I wouldn't, because I'm not in the fear of missing out of the trendy shit that is the Elite 64. Anyway, that's about it. I just trashed the model itself, so I'll see you guys later. And don't forget to subscribe and like, so you can help me out in the algorithm. Thank you.